Hello, I'm Ryan and welcome to the first ever gameHEART review. This review is about Monster Hunter World. I'll start by saying that I've played a few Monster Hunter titles before, so things that might bother new players really didn't bother me, but I'll be sure to bring these up when relevant. Monster Hunter World is a great game. As the player, you get to create a character and a little cat helper, and you go out into the world and take down tough monsters alone or with up to 3 other players in online co-op. In an average mission, you'll be dropped into a massive map with the task of taking down 1 or more monsters. At first, you'll need to track the monsters to learn more about them, but this never takes more than a few minutes and then you get to the combat. Combat against monsters is fast and intense, at the same time feeling tactical and deliberate. You fight giant beasts, and with their great size comes an array of heavy-hitting moves that will take a large chunk out of your health bar if you're not prepared. Most of these moves have some sort of telegraph to give you a warning to get out of the way, and generally the moves that hit harder have a bigger telegraph. Not only are the monsters slow, in order to take down a beast, you have to hit hard, and as such, your actions are heavy and can't always be interrupted. Every move you make has the potential to damage the enemy, but it also might lock you into an animation that might only take a half a second, but that half a second feels like an eternity when a truck armed with teeth and claws is charging you down. When you get the hang of combat, it gives a great feeling of back and forth, finding openings to unleash a series of attacks, and then executing a well-timed dodge or maneuver to evade a retaliatory attack. The dodge roll in this game has an extremely tight window of invulnerability, making it too dangerous to rely on, meaning that you'll need to put a higher priority on proper positioning. Monster Hunter World has 14 different weapon types to choose from. Of these, 11 are melee and 3 are ranged weapons. Each weapon plays a little differently. Some are heavy and slow, some are light and fast. Some have enormous reach and others have almost none. As a result, swapping to a different weapon style can make a monster that you've fought many times before feel fresh and new again. In addition to making the combat play quite differently, each weapon has their own unique moveset, strengths, and weaknesses in combat. For example, different weapons have different effective attack ranges, and this can play a huge part in how you approach a monster, as some weapons just can't reach as high or far as others, and each can do blunt or sharp damage, with certain parts of monsters being weaker to one type of attack over the other. If you attack a monster's tail with a sharp weapon, you can eventually cut it off, which will shorten the monster's range when using that tail. There's a lot of complexity to the combat, which gives you, as a player, a lot of choices and variety. But to be honest, if all of that sounds intimidating, you can just safely choose one type of weapon and stick with it through the entire game. As a final point about combat, you can use the environment to your advantage, with various traps and boulders placed around the levels which you can trigger in order to disable a monster, allowing you to get some more extended, high damage combos in. If you can't find any of those lying around, you can always jump off ledges or make use of certain weapons' special moves to pull off aerial attacks, which will allow you to mount the monster and bring it down from above. Again, giving you a great opening to dish out the damage or target that troublesome body part. After fighting a monster for long enough, or dealing enough damage, the monster might decide that it's time for a change in scenery, whether to feed and regain strength or simply to flee its attackers, which really gives Monster Hunter's level design time to shine. These levels are massive. They are complicated, they have a lot of hidden little secrets and a good amount of vertical movement. Not only that, but they look incredible, with each of the game's regions feeling like living, breathing ecosystems that could sustain the life that lives there. Throughout the regions, there are plenty of gathering nodes which give resources to collect in order to upgrade your weapons and armor. The upgrading part of the game provides long-term goals other than just beating the story. This extra long-term objective helps incentivize taking on monsters more than once, extending the life of the game. As a warning though, in the later part of the game, sometimes getting those components can become a bit of a grind, as you might need to fight the same monster 5 or so times in order to get everything you need, which might feel tedious for some. Outside of exploring and hunting for monsters, the main town, which facilitates the aforementioned crafting, as well as a few other supplementary services, is spread out with individual characters, lending the player a specific function. Even though some of the options are not available from the start of the game, all of the individual services and functions that the townspeople provide are not immediately clear, and this can serve as another daunting roadblock to a new player getting into a Monster Hunter for the first time. Additionally, even though the town acts as a lobby for online play, you won't see other players in your town unless you all go to the Gathering Hub area, which only offers a subset of the services that are available in the main area. This town lobby system is another point of confusion for new players. However, once you become familiar with it, the lobby does everything you need it to and doesn't really get in the way. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't quickly talk about the sound and visual design of Monster Hunter World. I'm very fortunate to have a powerful rig and have the settings turned right up, but the visuals really do shine. The fog adds atmosphere and the monsters are incredibly detailed. The maps are also immaculately detailed, and I can't really pick a fault. If you really turn the sound up and listen carefully, everything sounds incredible. The footsteps, the orchestral soundtrack, every monster roar and snarl feels real, and every environment is backed by some very detailed and fitting environmental and background noise. To summarise, I love Monster Hunter World. There's dynamic and varied combat, brilliant map design. The menus and online systems can be confusing for new players, but once you get used to them, they become a non-issue. And really, if you like the look of the gameplay but feel that the complexity of the game is holding you back, try to get back into it. It does take a while, but everything does become easier to understand, and there's a brilliant game hiding behind those beginning phases. For this review, I also want to make a quick mention that if you read user reviews about this game, you're probably going to see a lot of users complaining about optimization and the broken online systems. I'm not an expert, so I don't know much about the optimization, but I haven't run into these personally. I have seen that Capcom are also working to make improvements, with an update that was released some time ago that seems to have fixed the online issues that were plaguing the game upon release, as well as some of the smaller optimization problems. That's all from me. I hope to see you back again soon for my next review.